Today, the biggest news comes from deep inside Russia, where millions of Siberian residents face life-threatening cold as regional governors declare emergency evacuations. This crisis stems directly from Ukraine's systematic destruction of Russian energy infrastructure, and it reveals Moscow's inability to protect its own population. The clearest example is unfolding across the Orenburg, Chelyabinsk, and Kurgan regions, where temperatures have plunged below -40 degrees Celsius. Ukrainian strikes on gas processing facilities over the past 2 months have created cascading failures throughout Russia's heating network. On February 14th, the Orenburg gas processing plant, struck by Ukrainian drones on January 21st, suffered a secondary pipeline rupture. This facility processes 38% of natural gas supplies for the Ural industrial region. Regional Governor Denis Passler announced mandatory evacuations of 17 settlements, affecting approximately 62,000 residents. Footage from local Telegram channels shows families boarding buses with temperatures at -43 Celsius, many wrapped in blankets because heating systems failed 4 days earlier. The Chelyabinsk region declared a state of emergency on February 15th after 3 major heating stations shut down simultaneously. Governor Alexei Texler stated that repair crews cannot operate in current conditions, and backup diesel generators froze within hours. Ukrainian intelligence sources confirm that storm shadow strikes on the Salavat petrochemical complex on January 8th destroyed critical methanol production used for pipeline antifreeze compounds. Russian engineers now lack the chemicals needed to prevent gas line freeze-ups across Siberia. The success was compounded by Ukraine's deliberate targeting strategy, developed over 45 consecutive days of strikes against Russian energy infrastructure. What's significant is that Ukrainian planners identified systemic vulnerabilities rather than simply hitting individual targets. By destroying processing facilities, Ukraine forced Russia to choose between supplying frontline military operations or heating civilian populations. Moscow chose the war effort, abandoning its own citizens. This shows how Ukraine has weaponized Russia's geographic weakness. Siberian cities depend on centralized heating systems designed in the Soviet era, with no individual household alternatives. When the network fails, entire cities become uninhabitable within hours. While Ukraine is moving forward technologically with precision strikes, using NATO-supplied missiles and domestically produced long-range drones, Russia is moving backward into humanitarian catastrophe. Russians immediately assumed these evacuations were temporary, but available reporting indicates infrastructure damage will take months to repair if materials can even be sourced under sanctions. The information apparatus in Moscow has been nearly silent on the crisis, mentioning only routine weather events. However, regional governors have broken ranks, posting desperate pleas for federal assistance on official channels. Ironically, it was Russia's own emergency ministry that revealed the scale, publishing internal documents showing that 11 regions now face critical heating shortages, affecting an estimated 4.2 million people. A crucial detail here is that Russia diverted repair materials and technicians to occupied Ukrainian territories, attempting to restore Mariupol and other captured cities for propaganda purposes. This decision left Russian regions vulnerable. Due to Ukrainian strikes destroying transformer stations in December, electrical heating alternatives also remain offline. This meant backup systems failed simultaneously with gas heating, creating what emergency management experts call a compound infrastructure collapse. The Kremlin now faces an impossible choice: redirect resources from Ukraine to save Siberian cities, revealing weakness, or maintain the war effort while Russian civilians freeze, destroying domestic support. Overall, this represents the first time since World War II that a defending nation has successfully weaponized infrastructure strikes to create internal humanitarian crises within an aggressor state. This shows a shift from purely military targeting to strategic economic warfare designed to make the war unsustainable for the Russian population. Notably, Ukraine has achieved this without violating international humanitarian law, as energy infrastructure supporting military operations constitutes legitimate targets under Geneva Conventions. Ukrainian military intelligence spokesperson Andriy Yusov stated on February 16th that strikes will continue systematically until Russia's energy grid can no longer support both civilian needs and military production. This will surely give Ukrainian command new ideas about expanding strikes to transportation networks and water treatment facilities in the coming months. Russia's energy system is being pushed past the point where Moscow can maintain the illusion of normalcy for its population. The evacuations in Siberia starkly illustrate two fundamentally different visions of warfare. Ukraine fights to protect its people while systematically dismantling Russia's capacity to sustain aggression. Russia sacrifices its own citizens, diverting resources to occupy foreign territory while its heartland collapses. Historical analysis shows that no modern state has maintained public support for offensive war when basic heating and electricity become unavailable at home. The Soviet Union itself collapsed partly due to inability to provide basic services. This pattern is now repeating. As spring approaches, temporary housing for evacuees will require sustained support, draining federal budgets already strained by military expenditure. The Kremlin's propaganda machine cannot hide millions of displaced Russians, especially as social media spreads images of frozen apartment blocks and emergency tent cities. If you would like to explore other key developments today, make sure to visit our interactive news map at deepstatemap.live. Subscribe to unlock full access to the map, plus exclusive strategic updates. Starting from just $3.99, you will gain access to real-time frontline changes, detailed strike analysis, and infrastructure impact assessments. Check out the link in the description to become an exclusive member. Thank you for watching this update.